What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to another KingJvpes video. Now, I'll be honest with you, this video might not be for everyone, but for those of you guys who are interested in the art side or the creative side of photography, definitely stick around because I want to gauge your guys' honest feedback on this. And it's on a topic that has affected me and I feel like a lot of other photographers in the recent years, I should say. Now, with the creation of Instagram and all of these social media sites being able to share photos endlessly, there comes a certain set of problems that as photographers we tend to face. And the particular problem that I'm talking about is not photographing for yourself. Rather, because of Instagram and social media and all of these, other platforms, we have an audience. And even if the audience is like 2 people, or if it's 2 million people, there's still an audience. And with social media, we feel the need to cater to this audience for likes or for validation, I guess you could say. Because likes really, what is a like in real life? It's just validation. When you get that like, it's like, okay, people like my pictures, and there's this dopamine effect by seeing all of these likes hit your feed, and then it's just like, okay, now you have this very blurry mind of what pictures are good and what photographs are not, based solely off of the likes. My friends, I have fallen into this trap so many times, and I'll be honest with you guys, it's affected me for the longest time. Sometimes that will greatly influence the way I photograph things, and when I let this influence the way I photograph things, I'm not staying true to myself, or I'm not photographing for my own personal fulfillment anymore. Rather, I'm photographing for the audience. And when you're photographing for an audience, you're not always going to be making work that makes you happy. And when you enter into that stage and you're trying to cater to all of these different audiences, some people like street photography, some people like landscape, some people like portrait photography, your work is now scattered. It's all over the place, and this is something that myself, I am definitely guilty of doing. And it wasn't until the very end of 2018 where I had to kind of catch myself, because I felt very sad thinking to myself like, wow, I have all of these photographs, but none of them really make me happy. It wasn't until I told myself, what am I doing wrong in photography that I'm not enjoying it anymore. I'm not really going out there with a passion to make photographs. It's like I'm photographing for other people, and that is exactly what it was. I was photographing for the audience rather than for my own personal fulfillment. And this is a problem nowadays. It's a problem in photography, it's a problem in YouTube, it's a problem in music. When you try to cater your own work to a particular audience so you can get that validation. And for any photographer out there who's started photography recently, or who's been doing photography maybe for a while now, I'm pretty sure that we've all kind of fell into this trap at a certain point in time in our photography career. And if you have, that's completely fine. But I do want to stress that we got to step away from photographing for other people, and we need to start photographing for ourselves. When we photograph for ourselves, what do I mean by that? Well, for me, let me use my project Crosswalk as an example. Crosswalk was a 6-month photo project of documenting the crosswalks of San Francisco and kind of the scenes that happen around that moment we're walking across the street that we often overlook. And for me, that was my own personal project, because I told myself, I walk across these streets with my camera all the time, and there's always something interesting going on, but I feel like nobody pays attention to it. Everybody's kind of just driven to go forward, and we're not really looking, There could be that little scene of the little girl running across the street with a balloon and being caught mid-stride in midair, or the dude with a bike, popping a wheelie right in front of that street performer. It's these little things that I see that I find beauty in, but I feel like a lot of people don't really pay attention to it, and I wanted to shed light on that. Now, Crosswalk for me was my own personal project. I really wanted to go out there and dedicate my time to photographing those little intimate moments that we often miss. And it was within Crosswalk where I found photography so liberating, because there's not a restriction in my head to what I can and cannot photograph. Because prior to that, I was photographing for the audience. I was photographing for what you guys would want to see. But with Crosswalk, I was photographing for things that interested me. And it was there where I found a new inspiration, a new love for photography, and just an overall kind of like light bulb in my head. I was like, man, photography is fun again. And it's all because I photographed for myself. I photographed for what I thought was interesting. And if you guys find yourself photographing for likes, if you find yourself photographing to please other people, I would highly suggest you guys try out maybe starting to shoot a personal photo project. Something for yourself. If photography is your job, like let's say you are a portrait photographer, this is completely different. I'm talking about personal work. If you are getting paid to take photographs of a model, I mean, definitely fulfill what the customer needs, but still add your own personal thing in there, because if you don't leave that portrait shoot with your stamp on it, then that could be anybody's photograph, you know what I mean? So still photograph for your own personal fulfillment, and I think you'll find yourself much happier with photography. Another photo project that I want to share with you guys that I haven't really talked about, this might be the first time I'm talking about it on the channel, was a project that I had from the end of 2017 to the beginning of 2018. And I don't know why, but my photo projects always come in 6-month spans. And this one, again, is kind of weird, but for 6 months, I took care of my grandfather who was on hospice, and he had stage 4 cancer. And I was stuck with, I don't want to say I was stuck with him, excuse me, that's very rude for me to say. I took care of him for 12 hours of a day. I would see him when I woke up, and at night before I went back to sleep, I would see him as well. I would feed him, I would change his underpants, I would do everything for my grandfather. And I loved it. I loved spending that time with my grandfather, but at the same time, there was kind of this like mental, I don't want to say like a depression, but you know, I needed to find an outlet to where I can kind of let my feelings out based on what I was seeing. And so I told myself every single day I didn't know it was going to last 6 months, but every single day until my grandfather passed away, I wanted to take a photograph of him. And that was my kind of creative outlet and my emotional outlet for dealing with taking care of somebody that you love and seeing them slowly deteriorate. And the photo project, I won't share any photos because, again, it's just for my personal thing. It's in an album with my family here. I don't want to share it with anywhere else, but I just want to give you guys the details behind this because it relates to what we're talking about. But at the start of the photo project, you'll see my grandfather sitting up, standing, walking around the house. And then little by little, you'll start to see my grandfather not being as mobile. Maybe he's using a walker, and then he's starting to use a cane, then a wheelchair, and then he's bedridden for the last 3-4 months of his life. And it's just insane to see the deterioration of a human body within those 6 months. It's just, I mean, that's a very short time for somebody to go from what looks like they're healthy to being completely bedridden and they can't move. It's a terrible thing to see. And I'm just really glad that I did that photo project because it made me not only love photography again, but it also allowed me to photograph with a passion and not for anybody else other than just myself. And that's kind of the point that I wanted to get across for you guys today. If people don't like your photographs, then fuck it, they don't like it. But for the people that do end up liking your photographs, cherish those people, thank them. And yeah, because the people who like your photographs for what you like to shoot, I mean, those people are like the real, those are your real audience members, because no matter what you do with your photography, they're gonna like it. Whereas people who only want to see you do what they like, you know, that's a whole different story. So anyways, I'm probably derailing off track billions and millions of times during this talk, but thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have any comment or if you guys want to share any of your thoughts, definitely please, I would love to read them down in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you guys for watching another KingJvpes video, and as always, Minolta gang.